Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mindset Mastery Monday on Monday, the 24th of September. Please tell me where this year is going. It is just absolutely flying by. Good morning to our friends on Facebook and good morning to our friends on Instagram. Priscilla O'Brien, look at you, first thing up in the morning. A little bit of Love Magnetic has joined us this morning. Good morning, Love Magnetic. I am here in Perth. If I'm speaking a little quieter, it's because the sun has just risen here. Thank God for that. Another beautiful day. And it's just gone 6 o'clock here. Mwah, 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 love from Magnetic. And I'm here. Hello, lovely. Hello, Priscilla. I'm here having a family holiday, but also working in between. Good morning, Paula. How are you? Smashing it, I hope. So welcome from Perth. It's 6 o'clock here. Adin, welcome. Lovely to have your company. Neil Butler, lovely to have your company. So beautiful to spend some time with great people. Some smiling faces from Paula. So welcome from Perth. I've just come back from 5 amazing, amazing days in Bali. Brisbane New Homes, lovely to have you here. And feeling refreshed, feeling ready to serve, feeling ready to give you some insight into how do you deal with people when they just don't listen. Is that something that's of interest to you? Please give me a thumbs up or let me know. Whether you're a leader, whether you're a leading agent, whether you're a partner or a parent, have you ever had the experience that, you're asking people, whether it's your team or colleagues or kids, good morning, Karen George, lovely to see you here. G'day, Scotty Brown. Have you ever had that experience where you're asking, to your team or colleagues that you work with or your kids to do something and they don't do it? And you've asked them over and over and over and they still don't do it, and you're left frustrated and annoyed and sometimes, if this has gone on for a while, a bit resentful. Has that ever happened to you? Let me know with a thumbs up or a comment or a yes. So this session is going to be great if you're a leader or a parent or a partner and you really want to break through in your ability to be effective in communicating and inspiring and encouraging people to fulfill on the things that you ask them to do, even if it's to help your kids clean their rooms. G'day, Patty. Lovely to have you here as well. So I'm going to deconstruct really 6 steps to help you do this. So I want you to imagine, Karen George has given me a thumbs up. Yes, Scotty Brown, have you? And Grant Mullen, g'day Grant. I'm here. I should say where I am. So we're on a family holiday in Perth. I'm at a beautiful property here, Vicky and Ray's property. So g'day Grant. Scotty Brown's given me a thumbs up. Yes. Chris Cotton, hey, lovely to have you here. Patty's given me a thumbs up. So here at a family friends, or friends of mine, but family, and my husband's auntie and uncle's place in Perth. We're here for the next 9 days. I'm going to be working and traveling. Hi Brendan, hey Grant. And so this is their beautiful backyard here in Perth where the sun has just risen. All right, let's get to the content. So, think about a time where you've been at work and you've asked your colleagues or team to do something and you feel like you were pretty clear in the request and they didn't get it done. Or perhaps you've asked your kids to do something or your partner to do something. Has it ever happened to you? You've asked them to do something and they just haven't done it. And you felt like you were clear, like how more clear could I make it? And they're just not listening. Julie Murray's giving us a round of applause as well. Well, consider that communication is really the opportunity where we make requests and people respond and act. If you're making a request, because we can be communicating a lot of things. In fact, communication is broken down into 2 sort of orientations. We can talk about things, describe things, explain things, and justify things. And typically that style of communication is very past orientated, meaning you're just talking about things that have happened in the past. You're describing things that maybe have happened or you want to happen, or you're justifying why things are a certain way. That's really doesn't create anything new. It's quite kind of past orientated. The other model of communication is where we make promises about things that will happen in the future. We make requests of people. We make declarations. We're really declaring things that will happen. So we just want to know that there's 2 models of communication. Talking more about the past things that have happened, explaining, justifying and describing, and making requests making promises and declarations. This is a very creative act in communication. Now, when you are asking people to do something, consider it's more a creative act. You're making a request, and this is really what this morning is about. I want to give you access that to know yourself as someone that when you make requests, no matter who it's from, that it really actually manifests. Is that of interest to you? Let me know if that's of interest to you by a thumbs up. So Karen's letting us know she's got Wi-Fi issues. She'll have to catch up later in the office. Understand, Karen, no problem at all. So if that's happened to you, then you're going to love this session. So consider number one in these 6 steps to really becoming an effective communicator and having people listen to you is you want to take responsibility for the outcome. Now, as a leadership and mindset coach, typically for real estate professionals, I coach leaders all the time, and I get to see their frustrations with their team aren't doing what they want them to do. They're not sticking to their accountabilities. They're not prospecting. They're not following up. They're not following the values. And they're left with a lot of frustration as our parents and partners, depending on the content. So the first step to really producing a breakthrough in this area is you want to become responsible for the outcome, meaning you want to be interested in, you've made the request and it hasn't happened, it hasn't manifested in real life. So stand in the space that you're responsible for that. And you might be, well, how can that be? I've made the request, I've made it clear why, I've explained the outcomes and the impacts, and it's still not happening. Well, if responsibility as a distinction really means the ability to respond. When we stand in we're responsible, we relate to ourselves as able to respond to matter what's coming to us. And when you stand there, it gives you access to take action. So then what action do we take? We want to step then to number 2. When you've made requests and people don't fulfill, number 2, don't blame and complain, which is what most of us do. We blame the other person or the other people, and then we complain about the fact that they aren't listening. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that? Have you ever complained about something that someone hasn't done that you asked them to do? I absolutely have myself. So don't blame and complain. We want to step on to the next step, which is 3, and this is where most people go, what the? Number 3 is consider that if you've made requests, people aren't doing what you've asked them to do, that number 3, your communication is ineffective. Meaning you've made the request, it hasn't produced the result, it's got nothing to do with them, your communication is ineffective. Because if I ask you to pass me that bottle of water and that doesn't happen, my communication has not been effective. It hasn't produced the desired result. This is where we want to get super interested, because what most people to do, love magnetic is yes. What most people do is they make a request, it doesn't happen, they blame and complain about the other person, it's their fault, they weren't listening, they weren't doing whatever it is. So when we take responsibility, when we don't blame and complain, and we go, wow, it was a pretty simple request, how is it not happening? How is my communication ineffective? That's when we can start to get access to produce a different result. So we want to really look at when we're making requests, is it clear? Is it really clear what you're wanting? Is there a clear why you want it to happen? Is there a clear finish line? I don't like to say deadline, because I don't want things to die when we want to create them. I want things to live. We want to finish the outcome so it can live. Just semantics, but I love the relationship with words. So is there a clear finish line? Is there a why? Is there a bigger reason? And have you really explained that, even if it is just pass me a glass of water? So we've taken responsibility for the outcome. We haven't blamed and complained, because number 3, we're interested in, well, my communication is ineffective. And then we want to go on to number 4, which, what have I written here? Well, number 4 is why. You've got to have a why people need to do things for you. If you're just asking what you want and how you want it done, well, then they may not make it a priority, especially if they've got a whole bunch of other things that they need to do, whether it's for you, for the team, for the business, for the family, for your friends, or for something else. So if people don't know why you need them to pass the water, or people don't know why you need them to prospect, if people don't know why you need something done, They won't do it because people buy why you do what you do, not what you want. People buy into why you need what you need, not what you need. You have a look at, specifically here in Australia, I'm in Perth at the moment, but I do live in Melbourne. I was talking with a team, Greg Hocking team. We were in Bali doing some leadership training recently. And, when there's a clear why, you look at whether it's the Good Friday appeal is an example I used. Every single year, the Royal Children's Hospital around Easter time on Good Friday do the Good Friday appeal, where they appeal to the Australian community to raise funds. They have a pretty clear why. It's a compelling why. It's an emotive why, because there's a bunch of sick kids that really need some support, right? Susan Cheng, he's joining us. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, Mickey. And good morning, Patty, again. So there's a compelling why. If you don't have a compelling why you're asking people to do things, then it's unlikely that A, they'll make it a priority in their busy schedule, or B, they'll do it. But here's what I love about the Good Friday appeal example. Every year, the Aussie culture has to beat the previous year. So we always beat the previous year fundraising because that's just the Aussie spirit. That's our why. We want to achieve a personal best because we want to know ourselves as really effective. So there's a compelling why. So in your business, in your team, in your family, if you want people to get up and move and take action in the areas that matter, have you told them why? Have you given a compelling reason why they should act? That's number 4. Number 5, when you make requests, when you've explained it clearly, when you've explained why it needs to happen, when you've given a clear finish line, you must check for understanding. You must check with your people, do they understand the request that you're making? So many leaders particularly just spit off requests in a flurry, and their team are dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. They've got a lot to do, and they actually haven't checked whether their communication was clear, whether there's a clear understanding. And here is a great practice, especially if you're new to leadership and you want to make sure that your communication is effective. When you do make requests, ask the question, Suzanne, so I know I was clear, can you just repeat back to me what I've said? And that takes you're taking responsibility for making sure your communication is clear. And the other thing that's great about this is you can check in to see where the person is listening from. Did they listen to the request? Was it clear? Do they know the finish line? Do they know when you need it done by? Do they know how? Neil Butler, there's tears coming out. Neil, what are you crying about, honey? Tell me. Do they know what you need and why? And do they know how you need it? If it's a report that you need, do they know the method you want it delivered in? Do they know the time you want it delivered in? Do they know if you want it presented or emailed? We just spit off stuff, making requests without giving people the detail or the why, without giving them the risks or the impacts if it's not done. And then often many of us get frustrated. Kevin Lee's giving us a thumbs up, get frustrated when other people aren't doing what we need. Well, it's our responsibility, okay? So make sure you check in understanding. Ask the question, so I know I was clear. Can you tell me what it is I've just asked for? And that's a great way to build empathy, also to check in on, did they hear you correctly? And number 6, gain agreement. There's no point yelling at your kids to clean their room and they go, yeah, 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 and you explain why, and there's no agreement. Meaning there's no, number 7, commitment. You need agreement before you get commitment. So that's the 7th step. Get agreement, which is 6. I agree to fulfill on that. I understand what you need. And number 7, I commit. And then you've got commitment. It may seem like a lot of steps. That can happen pretty quickly. But if you want to be an effective leader, if you want to be an effective communicator, whether it's in your partnership, friendship, or parenting, and if you want to lead a team to produce a result and fulfill on your why or your financial goals or dreams, these are the 7 steps. I added one at the end. Number 1, take responsibility for the outcome, whatever's shown up in your reality. Number 2, don't blame and complain. Don't blame other people why your desired results haven't produced. Go to step number 3. Communication is ineffective if your results haven't shown up. So it's your responsibility. So you need to take responsibility for the outcome. You want to ask, number 4, explain to people the why. What is the bigger purpose? What is the bigger reason you need them to do what you want them to do? Number 6, check for understanding. Seek to understand by asking, so I know I was clear. Does that make sense? And can you repeat back to me what I've asked for? So that's number 5. Number 6 is, if you see me I'm looking at my cheat sheet. Number 6 is gain agreement. Get agreement from the people. And number 7 is get commitment. Get an agreement, get commitment. Then you really want to make sure you've got accountability with a follow-up date or follow-up action to happen. The biggest tip that I would say from this is, if you're making requests and it's not happening, don't blame and complain. Your communication is ineffective. Take responsibility, get interested, check understanding. Did they know the finish line? Did they know it was clear? And behind all this, behind all those 7 steps, I really invite you to have this overarching understanding or theme that people are all working with the best intentions. Especially leaders, please remember this. Your team are not rocking up to your business or your work every single day, wanting to annoy you, wanting to not honor the values, wanting to not fulfill on the results. They've got their own busy lives. They've got their own things going on. They've got their own list of priorities, that they've got their own world. So get interested in what they've got going on. Help them prioritize their tasks. And if you give people more stuff to do, then check in and make sure they're equipped to fulfill it, to meet your finish lines according to what you want. So give me a thumbs up, a heart, a smiley face, some smiling eyes, if that makes sense, if that was of value to you. And I invite you today, in all of your relationships, when you're communicating, Love Magnetic, such a powerful message. Communication is an art and a skill. I learned something new today, so thank you, beautiful. Exquisite chauffeurs, a thumbs up. Was that helpful? Was it helpful for you and your kids? Thanks, Love Magnetic. Was it helpful for you and your relationships? Go back and listen over this. Which step do you really need to practice? And watch what happens. Watch what happens when you really take responsibility for the outcome. So I wish you effective communication today. I wish for you to know yourself as a powerful creator who knows their ability to speak nothings into somethings. It is one of the most, I'm getting goosebumps, alchemical things that I know. It's something I'm super passionate about. So I hope you found that useful. And before we sign off, an invitation to you. We've just released our upcoming leadership, 2-day Empowered Leadership Summit in Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney in November. It is an exquisite 2 days, completely immersive and experiential, limited to only 60 people, 60 leaders in the real estate space, executive directors, principals, managers, property leaders, and aspiring leaders. If you want to be an effective communicator, if you want to have a team that helps them produce their desired results and helps you produce your desired results, if you want to increase your ability to encourage people to do things, grow your business, increase your market share, become a leading agent and agency of influence, highly recommend you join us for Inspiring Greatness. We're going to deconstruct the 6 empowered leadership practices of envision, engage, embody, empower, evaluate, and encourage. You're going to complete a personal assessment. How effective are you as a leader? You're going to learn from key leaders of influence from all around the country who are producing great results in tough markets, and you will walk away with a simple 90-day strategy for success. An A3 sheet you can stick in your office with clear actions to take to produce your desired results. All this and much, much more, and it's been made available by our beautiful sponsors, realestate.com.au, CoreLogic, Agent Box, Industry Media, Smarter Marketing. Thank you. A whole bunch of amazing people that have joined us to make it happen. So if this speaks to you, or you know someone that would love to elevate their ability to lead effectively and produce great results in the world, then head to my link in Instagram and check out the links on Facebook, and I'll make sure I'll put it in the thread here. G'day, Kate. Lovely to have your company. Priscilla O'Brien, thank you. Tanja, always extremely beneficial. I'm really here to serve. And listen, the reason why is 27% of real estate businesses are seeing great growth. The rest are seeing marginal growth, flatlining, or declining. That's a nice stat. What does that actually mean? This means hardworking mums and dads, hardworking entrepreneurs, thought leaders like you, are often going home unsatisfied, unfulfilled, with your potential intact and your dreams laying dormant. I don't like the idea of that. I want you to achieve your goals. And I really do believe real estate is a wonderful opportunity to achieve financial freedom, whether you work in the industry or you're serviced by it. I'm here to serve the elevation of the leadership of the industry so you can be really effective and inspire your people to produce greatness. And for me, more importantly, that those consumers, those clients, those vendors, buyers, landlords, and tenants out there have an amazing experience of this industry, because it is their biggest asset. I wish you many blessings. I hope you have a beautiful day. And remember, this whole Mindset Mastery Monday is for you. If you have a specific question that you want answered, please DM me. Please write to me and let me know what it is, and I'll do my best to serve. Have an amazing day. Much love from Perth. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday for Mindset Mastery Monday. Ciao to our friends on Insta. And au revoir to our friends on Facebook.